And we are on the scene at the White House, where President Donald Trump is hosting the Prime Minister of Italy today, Giorgia Meloni, visiting to talk about trade, amongst other things. Haley Bull is at the White House now live, and Haley joins us now. How significant is this meeting, specifically not talking just about U.S.-Italy relations, but U.S.-European trade overall?
Yeah, Andrew, it's certainly a key meeting between the allies. Meloni, the first European leader to visit in person with President Donald Trump since he rolled out his reciprocal trade agenda. And she's largely seen as a bridge to the European Union, including by officials here who recognize what they call a key role she has in Europe, as well as her close relationship with President Trump. Meloni saying today in front of the president that her goal is to, quote, make the West great again. She indicated she thinks they can make a deal, noting the need for her country in particular to increase LNG imports. And while Meloni in the past has indicated she does not agree with the tariffs, she also doubled down today on her approach aimed at dialogue and trying to find a middle ground. She extended an invitation to Trump to visit Italy, as well as to organize a meeting with European officials. Now, notably, and perhaps a sign of progress in this meeting, Trump pronounced there will be a trade deal with the European Union, but also noting that, quote, everybody's on my priority list. Now, Trump, according to administration officials in their private conversations, was expected to emphasize the expectation for both Italy and the EU to be, quote, good trade partners, as administration has looked at not only tariffs, but also non-tariff trade barriers. The two leaders saying this earlier today.
Oh, there'll be a trade deal, 100%. Oh, well, you think there won't be? Of course there'll be a trade deal, very much. They want to make one very much, and we're going to make a trade deal. I fully expect it, but it'll be a fair deal.
I'm sure we can make a deal, and I'm here to help on that. I cannot deal in the name of the European Union. My goal would be invite President Trump to pay an official visit to Italy and understand if there's a possibility when he comes to organize also such a meeting with Europe. I think the best way is that we simply speak frankly about the needs that every one of us has and find ourselves in the middle. That's useful for all. Somebody calls me such a Western nationalism. I don't know if it is the right word, but I'm sure that together we are stronger, and I have to find a way. I'm here to find the best way to make us both stronger on the two shores of the Atlantic.
And Andrew, needless to say, there are likely a lot of eyes on the signs and the indications coming out of this meeting when it comes to the European Union. They have been a particular example for the president that he's often decried when talking about his view that other countries are, quote, ripping off the United States. Now, we know Meloni was in touch with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen ahead of this meeting in particular. The EU has paused their countermeasures in response to the United States and that 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs. But at the same time, as Trump is looking to negotiate deals, being involved in conversations with Japan, Vietnam, South Korea, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is warning about higher prices and slower economic growth as a result. And new today, Trump in the Oval Office making clear he is not happy with Powell, saying, quote, if I want him out, he'll be out, after writing on Truth Social that his, quote, termination can't come fast enough. And that is certainly significant, as historically the Fed Reserve has operated independently, and it is very notable when a president weighs in on that matter, Andrew.
Yeah, and Haley, one of the other interesting dynamics here is about that NATO spending. I know you spoke to Matt Whitaker, the U.S. ambassador to NATO, earlier this week. They talk about 5% spending in terms of GDP towards NATO. Italy, I'm pretty sure NATO spending-wise is towards the lower end of the scale. How much is that potentially playing into these talks, and could it throw cold water on some of these other big issues that we know that Trump and Meloni are addressing today?
Yeah, we know it's a focus for the leaders today, as the U.S. has been very clear that they want to see NATO allies increase their defense spending to 5% from the 2% GDP threshold that's currently set. Now, Italy is among a handful of those in the NATO alliance who has not yet met that 2% goal, but Meloni indicating she believes, she expects that they will meet that this year. And that's really key as war continues on NATO's doorstep between Russia and Ukraine. Italy has supported Ukraine, but has not been among the European nations offering personnel on the ground as part of any future peace deal. So at the same time as those conversations are happening, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco Rubio are meeting with officials from France and the UK as Paris is hosting talks on Ukraine. In particular, France and the UK, both those nations who have been exploring what a potential peace force would look like. And that was certainly the focus of questions from reporters to both leaders after their bilateral meeting today. Trump, notably, who has taken a softer tone towards Putin in the course of this second administration, avoiding putting direct blame on him for the war, saying he doesn't necessarily hold Zelensky responsible and that they expect a critical minerals deal to be signed next week. That is significant. That is that deal that was thrown off course when we saw the Oval Office meeting breakdown between Trump and Zelensky earlier this year. And you can see the Prime Minister's motorcade leaving behind us right now, that meeting wrapping up. So certainly that was another major focus in there as well, Andrew.
All right, Haley Bull for us, another busy day at the White House. Haley, thank you.